This is Honors Algebra 2 Pre-Calculus. We're in 10.4 of Pre-Calc, which is hyperbolae. So in example 3, we're going to write the hyperbola equation in standard form. That's it. We're not going to graph it. We're not going to do anything else because, you know, completing the square multiple times is already super fun. Okay, so I'm going to have to complete the square. So I'm going to separate the x stuff ahead of time, right? So negative 25x squared minus 150x, right? And then separate the y stuff, right? So I'm going to get plus 16y squared minus 32y. And I'm just going to go ahead and add the 609 to the other side. So equals 609. Cool. Okay, so when I complete the square, right, I'm going to do essentially complete the square twice, right? Once for the x stuff and once for the y stuff. So first thing I do is always factor out the entire leading coefficient in front of the squared term. So negative 25, that's going to leave me with an x squared plus a 6x, and then I'll leave an empty space, right? I'm going to do the same thing by factoring out this positive 16, and I'm going to get a y squared minus a 2y, and then I'm going to leave a blank space. And on the other side, I'm going to have that equals 609, right? Then we do that triangle step, right? I'm going to divide this by 2 and get a plus 3, and then square it, which is going to give me a plus 9. The trick is I didn't really add 9. What I did is I subtracted 150. No, not 150. Sorry, math is hard. I subtracted 225. Sorry, negative 25 times 9 is a negative 225. Sorry, my brain just dies a little sometimes. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So if on the left-hand side I subtracted 225, I have to do the same thing on the right-hand side. And then here, I'm going to do my triangle step and get this as a negative 1 and then square it, which is a plus 1. But I didn't really add 1. I added 16. So I'm going to go ahead and add 16 on the other side, right? So this is where we find out how good or bad my math was when I, hey, go me. All right. So when I clean up this blue part, right, it's going to factor into this negative 25, in front of an x plus 3 quantity squared. This y section is going to become a positive 16 times a y minus 1 quantity squared, right? And on the other side, I'm going to get a 400. Now, I want this side to be a 1, and it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide everybody by 400. And what's going to happen is the 16 and the 25 are going to cancel, and I'm going to end up getting that this is a negative x plus 3 quantity squared over 16 plus a y minus 1 quantity squared over 25 equals 1. We're almost there. The only thing we have to do to put this in standard form is that we want to put the positive thing at the front. So the very last thing that I have to do to get my answer is write y minus 1 quantity squared over 25, because remember the positive one is the one that's going to have my a squared, and then x plus 3 quantity squared over a 16, and that's going to equal a 1. So there's my equation in standard form. And if I asked you to graph it, you could identify the center, you could identify a squared and b squared, and you could graph from here. But again, example 3, we're just going to write the equation because that was an awful lot of work. All right, cool beans.